welcome to Arrow on Target. We are your hosts.
You can find us online at stayontargetpodcast.com. So, John.
Yes.
This week
on
Slade Returns.
Slade Returns. Dude, that was incredible.
It was incredible. The name of the episode is called The Return.
Yeah, so do you think it was talking about, there's a lot of returns that happen.
It was talking about all of them.
It's talking about all of them?
Oliver's return to Starling City. Slade's return to the show.
Yep.
What other returns? Did they get their tax returns? I think they could have.
Maybe.
I thought I saw Slade get some mail out of that tree.
Yeah.
On the island.
So that was a big thing that happened this episode, and I loved that we went back to the island and there were all these like crazy traps.
Yeah.
And that Oliver had apparently set himself.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
I really loved this episode, man, on multiple levels. Number one, we saw the island, which we haven't really seen very much this season. Really haven't seen because it's not in the flashbacks, and so I forgot how.
I think I just stole your water, by the way, and so here's mine that I hadn't opened.
No, mine's over here.
Did I have two waters?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I don't know.
I've got two waters, guys.
The island has not been a part of this season as much.
Right.
And I forgot how large of a role it played in previous seasons, but I felt really good to be back there.
Well, it's a beautiful set. It plays really well. Location, that's what I mean. But it plays really beautifully on the TV. It just looks good. And it's really fun to have the natural setting because we spent so much time in the city and in the urban setting and doing a lot of action there that it was nice to have some actual action on, in a natural place. Like the Corto Maltese, I think, is the only thing that we've really had outside of Starling City or the, I guess, the Shanghai kind of Chinese setting that is going on in the flashbacks.
Yeah. So. I also really liked the way that the flashbacks played in this episode. I felt like they were more relevant than they have been all season. If I was going to, point out a flaw in this season so far, it'd be the fact that these backstory flashbacks do not feel like they relate to the main story at all. We may be building to a point that will, but episode by episode, they don't correlate most of the time. And if they do, it's really, really loose.
Yeah, and it almost seems like something that we could do, in one episode, where this is the story. The flashbacks are a story that if you just removed them from all the episodes this season and put them into their own episode, that it would be a really fun episode and it would be really cool. But they break the pace a little bit of what's going on in the current timeline throughout this season a little bit. It doesn't maintain that pace, and while I appreciate the fact that they're there, I don't necessarily know if we need them anymore.
Yeah.
But this week, it was really fun to see. It was really fun to see him interact. Well, not really interact, but observe what's going on, so that he wasn't completely in isolation,
right?
Not knowing what's going on with his family and his friends on the island. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see Moira again. I really love whenever she shows up on the show, and it's been ever since last season whenever Slade killed her. It's kind of, I've missed her. And so I was kind of waiting for that moment, but it was nice to see Tommy again.
Right. I wanted to see Moira, but then I didn't. If we see Moira again in a flashback, I want it to be more consequential than just showing up where she's in the background. Because obviously Oliver wasn't going to run into her. He wasn't going to converse with her. He wasn't going to talk with her.
Right.
And if we're going to bring her back in some way in a flashback, I want it to be, to hold some weight.
Yeah.
And... Tommy, we've seen Tommy before in some flashbacks.
Yeah.
And so, it's cool. Yeah, it's always good to see Tommy. But, I don't think he necessarily holds weight. You don't see him okay, what is he going to say? This is going to be an important plot point. You don't hear any of that. This is the thing, though. We did take a step back to, the first season and even part of the second season of Arrow where... Starling City and the world kind of operated under the rules that they set up in the first season in terms of the queens are rich and they have access to all these people. They have all these friends. They have this front to keep up. They have this image.
Yeah.
And I kind of do miss all that. I miss their house. I miss that they go to these parties, and I miss Tommy and like all that kind of stuff. I kind of miss that dynamic.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about where we began and to be self-referential like that, where it's like now we can go back and go, oh, I remember this and I remember that. So it shows that the show has a lot of history and a lot of weight to what's going on.
Yeah.
And it tells me maybe in a couple of seasons, maybe we're saying, oh man, remember whenever they used to, be at Thea's apartment and whenever Oliver had that fight with her. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just different. You're right. It's very different, and I really like the first season and things. So I just, I don't know.
Yeah, talking about the depth, like I think that was illustrated by Diggle's. Was it his brother or brother-in-law? It's his brother. It's the one that died. Whichever one died. Because, because that was going to be his sister-in-law.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So like that's like a first season reference.
Yeah.
And they didn't even like really reference it, like it was just kind of there. So if you knew that that's what happened and who that guy is, that's what's going on. And so like that was just really cool. It's just like, man, this show does have a lot of depth.
Yeah,
like, a lot of things they can pull from.
Yeah, and a lot of places that the story can go too. I liked the side by side where Laurel and Quentin were both kind of fighting in both timelines. Like they were both angry at each other and both bumping heads in both timelines. And that was a really cool parallel to have, especially from the point of we did a lot of transitions from gravestone to gravestone.
Yeah.
And so that was a really cool through line as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Quentin story, everything that he had to say to Laurel, spot on.
Right.
Completely accurate.
It was kind of...
And pretty fair, too.
Last week, whenever she told him, he just kind of broke down, which honestly would be the correct choice. And now he's more in the I'm angry at you for not telling me stage, which honestly, like, I would be too. Like, I don't blame him.
No.
Because, and that's what we can touch on this a little bit later. But I'm glad that a lot of these things are coming out. And a lot of these, like, I'm tired of these characters keeping these secrets that don't need to be kept, and that it's better if they just come out. Yeah, it sucks right now because he's going to be mad at her for not telling him.
Yeah.
If she just told him a long time ago, none of that would have happened. And she wouldn't have had to bear that burden all by herself. And wouldn't have had all the emotional problems she had.
Well, and now it's basically she's ruined her relationship with her father at this moment anyway. Like, I mean, I don't see this getting a lot better anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just the fault is all on her, and I think that part of the reason why this sucks so much for her and it feels so hard is because she knows that he's right. Like whenever he's telling her these things and all that, she at this in the episode, she didn't deny anything that he was telling her. She didn't refute any of his facts. All she did was tell him that he, or try to remind him that he shouldn't be seeking refuge in a bottle.
Yeah.
And so he shouldn't be burying these things that way. And so every single thing that he said to her, she never turned it around. She never really fought back. She all just kind of took it and was fine with it.
Right.
And I think I liked the way that played. And I respect her character a little bit more for that.
Yeah.
But again, that criticism is 100% fair from him.
That's like especially with Laurel's character over the past couple years. Like I think the thing that has kept me from relating to her so much is that she has acted so irrationally and has not acted in a way that I feel like real humans act.
Yeah.
And I think finally now they're kind of catching their stride and fixing some of those problems where she is behaving in a way that she should behave and that normal people behave.
Yeah.
I guess normal people don't have sisters who are superheroes who die. But, in terms of keeping secrets from her family members, like, under the guise of it's going to hurt his heart, like, he can't handle it. Like, it's ridiculous stuff, and I'm glad we're past it. We're moving past it, at least.
Yeah, we're at least on the journey there to where it may not be okay, like I said, for a while, but at least it's out in the open. At least everybody knows. I did love the conversation with him where she said, even then you knew I was on my way to the mask. And it's very true that early in, if you look at who Laurel was in season 1.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is, like, whenever I was watching recently, I mentioned last week that I'd watched a couple episodes from season 1, the first 5 episodes or so. And it's really interesting that Laurel, the Laurel that we saw in the first few episodes of season 1, first half of season 1, I would argue, is actually closer to the Canary and to the fierceness that we see there. And even, like, in the first episode, she pulls some self-defense moves on a guy.
Right.
And it actually is much more believable as a canary than she is in season 2.
Yeah.
And even was it maybe early in this season too. So it's interesting that her character's finally now getting back on track to where she should have been from the beginning.
Right.
And I love that they're kind of bringing that out and mentioning that and saying, hey,
right.
She's finally getting there.
I mean, that's a natural consequence we've talked about on the show before, that she was supposed to die at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
And so like that's they didn't know what to do with her for a good season. Like,
yeah.
And so it's not it's just a consequence of that.
Yeah.
That, okay, well now we're kind of getting her back to where they were first writing her. This is what the character was supposed to be originally anyway. Like, the tone it was supposed to have. It went off tracks for so long.
Yeah, off the rails for a season and a half, 2 seasons.
Another parallel that I really liked in this episode was the parallel between current day Oliver trying to protect Thea and past Oliver trying to protect Thea in different ways. Obviously.
Dude, he straight up murdered that dude.
I know.
He straight up murdered a guy.
It was wild.
Oh. Well, it's like I've had that point for a while where like past Oliver has had these qualms about torturing people and about killing people. And it's like that parallels nicely with the current day Oliver, but season 1 Oliver, whenever he returns to Starling City, he was just like destroying people left and right, not worrying about it, you know? Where he would just shoot arrows into guys and it's like, that he's not like shooting at their legs.
Right.
Well,
that's another thing I think I liked about, just take a sidestep and then come back to it.
Yeah.
But like that's another thing I liked about this episode was that the appeal of Arrow in season 1 is that he has this mission, he has this objective. He is taking out people who have failed the city. And that's what you felt. You felt that in this episode whenever he gets the message from his father.
Yeah.
And that's whenever he kind of, changes his ways. Like that was after, he killed this guy, but like that was kind of like the same mindset of like, I'm just going to eliminate these people.
Yeah.
They don't deserve to live.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I think he would have killed that guy whether he had recognized him or not.
Oh, yeah.
He would have found something to kill him over.
He would have found a reason, and I think that's just who that Oliver is at this moment. It's just he's descending into that the darkness and into the vengeful kind of Oliver that we saw in season 1.
Yeah,
and it's interesting, like this. You mentioned the plot point of his dad and that whole thing. I think the underlying mystery of season 1, where it's like you don't really know what's going on. There's these things that are said but not really said, and I think that is coming to play more in the flashbacks now too, and I really like that. It kind of loses a little bit of its power because we already know what's going to happen. We already know how some of that plays out.
Yeah, but
it's nice to actually have that mystery back in our lives and back into a plot line,
right?
Because it was really compelling, and it just is compelling. So I liked that as well.
The thing that sucks is that now we have to head back to Hong Kong in the flashbacks. Like, I really would love to stay in Starling City and explore Laurel's relationship with Tommy more.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, okay, we kind of saw the feelings that led Thea down that path. Like, but like, what is she actually really dealing with here? Like, let's see her relationship with her mom and Moira, and I don't know, like, and Tommy even. Like, I want to explore that. I'd love to explore more of Diggle's backstory.
In
Starling City during this time. Like,
super
interesting.
As interesting as Oliver's 5 years away are, I imagine, think about how much happens in 5 years in anybody's life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of twists and turns and ups and downs that happen within that time. And so to see that with these characters that we know and love would be really fun. Yeah. And again, I think we've mentioned before, whenever we've had flashbacks with like Diggle or Malcolm or whoever, that it doesn't have to be a flashback for Oliver. Like, it's just as fun and just as interesting to see what's going on in their lives.
Right. Well, I think we mentioned last week, like, I don't think you need flashbacks anymore.
Right.
Like, it worked as long, and then, again, that kind of touches on what I was talking about earlier. It worked whenever it's a direct parallel between what's happening in that episode.
Yeah.
Whenever it doesn't, you don't need it.
So here's something that I wanted to bring up. Like, we have so many tie-ins with, like, and I guess probably the writers have all these questions that they've asked where it's like, oh, you knew more about the list or you knew more about the purpose. And so he obviously has to find out at some point in the flashbacks. But my thought is that, are we going to bring up the list again in current timeline? I would love to see that happen because there's a lot of these people that are on this list. It's a whole book, and I don't know if every page is filled out or what, but it's a whole book of people that we haven't dealt with for a while.
Yeah.
And so I would almost like to see that come, like, return.
Right.
In some way. Maybe they become more like Brick or something like that. Something more vicious or more updated. Or maybe there's being led by somebody other than Malcolm. Maybe there's this underworld of you know, I guess 1% criminals.
Right.
That is being led by somebody else, somebody new. Yeah. And we're just not involved in that because none of them have money.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it doesn't even have to be, you know, like, I think Oliver spends so much of his time right now dealing with these very global, kind of overarching villains like Slade and Malcolm, who are a threat to the entire city.
Or Roz.
Yeah, who's just a threat in general to the
family.
World. Well, to everything. Like,
yeah.
You know, and so... the beauty of the list is that it does bring it down to street level. Even Brick, you know, like his power expanded and he was a threat to the whole city. Maybe not the whole city, but at least to the Glades.
Yeah.
You know, and the beauty of like the list is that okay, this guy is a threat because he just embezzles money from people. Like this guy is a threat because he has basically underpaid all these workers. You know, like
right.
Yeah, they seem petty, but like. These are people who are doing bad things and they are failing the city.
Yeah.
And that I love.
And those are the people that you need to drop all the snow from Brooklyn on.
Right. You can't say Malcolm Merlin, you failed the city.
That's a reference to our main podcast this week, by the way.
Yes, you should listen to Stan Target podcast in order to get that reference. But, you know, like you can't say to Ra's al Ghul, like, you have failed this city. Like,
right.
What does
you
that
have
mean?
failed this planet.
Yeah, I mean, you know. And so I love the idea of getting back to, okay, let's take care of Starling's problems.
It also gives you an end game. It also gives you, like, you know, there's a status bar depending on how many names are left on the list. Mm-hmm. It gives you this, like, it gives you a almost a to-do. I mean, it's just a to-do list because it's like, oh, once all these people are taken care of, then I guess we just got to maintain it. You know, you just got to keep crazy people from, you know, being jerks again. You know?
Like, you know, they're out working the streets every night. You know, Team Arrow. And, you know, they're taking down robbers and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so we're dealing with the low-level villains.
What about the mid-tier?
Yeah, like the people on the list.
Yeah.
You know, like, and if you're going to keep track of the villainy in the city, why not start with the list? Like, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Because those people, obviously, they don't just all of a sudden wake up one day and go, oh, the Arrow's in town, I'm going to stop doing bad things.
Right.
Anyway.
I'm also glad, speaking of secrets, I'm glad that Thea now knows that she killed Sarah and that Malcolm made her do it.
Man, it's horrifying, isn't it?
It is horrifying, and that was a painful scene to watch.
Like, it's just thinking about it now, it's just like, man, that would be horrifying to find out that your father, who has returned to your life after not knowing it was, you know, and has basically made you kill a really good friend of yours. Mm-hmm. Kill them.
I love the consistency with Thea's character in terms of she is always all about the truth and secrets, and she doesn't care she does care. Like, she just wants to know the answer to the truth. Like, you know, there's the truth question. She asks you to tell her the truth, and if you don't, she's not happy. Yeah. And if you do, she's happy, even if the answer is horrible.
Yeah,
you know, like,
but at least she respects you for telling her the truth.
Exactly, and that's been a consistency with her character from the very beginning, and I love that. You know,
agreed.
That being said, I'm also really, really happy to see her in a good place finally with Oliver. We have not seen her ever in a good place with Oliver.
Yeah, where there's nothing in between them, no really big secrets or anything. Obviously, Oliver has secrets, but it's like, who cares about those?
He's always
now?
When he's addressed that, he's always going to have secrets. Like, what's he going to do? Sit down and just tell them every second of his life?
His memoirs, dude. Right. Like, he's got to write his memoirs.
I mean, I'm okay with him bringing up relevant information whenever he needs to bring it up. He brought, like, you know, last season, he brought up Slade way too late.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that he knew who he was. You know, but, you know, so he needs to be better about that. But I'm okay with him not, like, hey, let's go have a 2-week powwow and I will tell you all my secrets.
Oh, yeah, dude. It was, like, really interesting to see her fight Slade this time, too. Like, where...
Yeah, the 2-on-1.
Where almost at the beginning, you forget that she has had a horrifying exchange with him. Like, whenever he killed Moira in front of her and Oliver, it was absolutely terrifying.
Right.
And that was half the reason why she wanted Malcolm I would say more than half the reason why she wanted Malcolm to train her, because she felt so helpless in that situation.
Yeah.
She is no longer helpless. She fought back and she helped Oliver take him down. Like, there was numerous times where I don't think Oliver would have gotten out of it if she hadn't helped.
I think another thing that
kicked him in, the arm and stuff.
That impressed me about that was just the fact that, you forget how terrifying Slade is and how much of a physical threat he is. Like, he has it out for Oliver.
Gosh.
He does not like Oliver. He still wants to just destroy his life.
Well, even whenever he leaves him in the cell or whatever, he's just toying with him.
Oh yeah,
like he's just toying with him and waiting for him to escape. He knew that they would escape.
Yep.
And he knew that would happen, and he just waits on him, and then he says, "I'm gonna fulfill my promise," and it's like he's just gonna kill him. It's just like he's
just gonna kill everything he loves.
Right, kill Thea,
and then
kill him. Oh my gosh!
And he will not stop. Like, he's killed his mom. He's taken away. Helped take away his company. Like, he has destroyed several things in Oliver's life, and he's not done.
Oh, dude, no, it's not over. And like seeing him this episode, and whenever we were on the island with him, and Oliver kind of like goes, "I'm going for a walk." It's like I knew where he was going.
Oh,
it's
man.
It's like you just know.
Yeah.
And then whenever he goes down there, it was something out of like a thriller or like a horror movie where you're just like, you just know he's not under those blankets.
I know, dude. It was a cringeworthy scene whenever Oliver had to dislocate Thea's arm in order to get out of the cell.
Oh.
It was insane.
Oh.
I did not like it.
Oh, dude. Oh, I don't even know, man.
Yeah, that's all we need to say about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Refresh my memory.
Yeah.
Who is the other villain in that prison?
Nobody yet. We've killed all the others.
Nope. That's not true.
Is there somebody else who's in there?
They referenced, she asked, "Are we the only people here?" And Oliver said, "It's another, but I don't think he'd be of any use." Like, there's another villain that they put in there with Slade.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
don't remember. You want to look it up real quick?
You want me to look it up?
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
Yeah, so like there's, let's talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
I also wanted to touch on the moment whenever Oliver is in Queen Consolidated. Number one, I thought it was really cool. He finds that note to him, and then he finds that note to Thea. I want to know, like, did Thea get the same message? And if so, did she ever see it from her father? The second thing is, I loved Felicity's conversation with herself. That was hilarious. And it was hilarious whenever she walks away and she's like, "Man, I have to stop talking to myself." It was really, really funny. And, I don't know if Oliver remembered her later.
Yeah.
But like, it was a cool nod, like, to what she was doing at that time. It also makes me wonder, like if what was their stepdad's name?
If you hadn't mentioned it just now, I would have been able to tell you. Oh, what is his name? I can't remember. I'll think about it.
You would think that he would be the one using that office at that point, and he was whenever Oliver finally comes back, but it looked like it was still decorated as Robert Queen's, that's his name, right? Robert Queen's office, and I don't know why it was. Like, because if it's being used by someone else, you still got pictures, and this looks like the same wooden desk and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird that it would be there.
We don't know who it is.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. They're saying that it could be that in the Flash crossover, back during the Flash crossover, Oliver sent Captain Boomerang somewhere, sent him away to the island once he was captured. So logically, he must be the other helpful villain. So it might be Captain Boomerang.
Okay.
So it might be him because they sent him away somewhere. But as far as that goes, I don't know if anybody really knows. So I mean, maybe that's something that happens in the flashbacks that we don't know about yet. Maybe it's something that's coming up either later this season or next season in the flashbacks where we put someone away there.
Who is Digger Harkness?
That is Captain Boomerang.
It's Captain Boomerang. Well, that's what. So this is an IGN review. Look like they're saying that's who it was.
Yeah, I mean that's who this is saying it possibly could be, but it could be. I mean, honestly, if it's not him though, it could be somebody else.
Oh, and it doesn't have to be. Yeah, that's true.
It could be somebody from the flashbacks because they had to install that sometime.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be someone that Oliver necessarily put there. It has to be someone that Argus put there.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, that's true. And I guess...
It's possible. But, I mean, honestly, if it is Digger, it makes perfect sense.
And honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's a tease for some other episode. Like, who knows?
Yeah. And honestly, this show does a really good job of, like, covering its bases, as evidenced this episode by them basically going to Starling City because of one line of dialogue from back in season, I think, 2, where he's talking to Diggle. Right. So, yeah, I mean, they do a really good job of covering their bases, so I think it's probably Captain Boomerang, just because he's there. Yeah. So as far as like the Oliver Thea thing goes, it's nice to see them together. I also think Thea hating Malcolm now makes so much more sense. Oh yeah, like she's finally seen him for who he really is, and it's like while Oliver knows they have to work with him, he mirrors those feelings, and so it's nice to see her not like, oh, Malcolm's not such a bad guy. It's like, because like as the audience, it was frustrating to say, if you only knew, you know.
Dude, and whenever Malcolm found out that Oliver had told Thea, he was pissed.
Oh, dude, he was so mad. I thought he was going to like hit him or something. Turn around and like there was flip out at
vein on his forehead just bulging.
And I think he like even like hesitated, like he was about to turn around and hit Oliver, man.
He was like, he should not have told you that. And it's just like, I mean, what do you expect, dude?
Yeah.
You're a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah, you are straight up evil. And you can't even say you did it for a good reason.
What a jerk. Well, I mean, we've talked about that a number of times. Like, whenever she says, I did it because I'm your father. And because I love you.
It's like no, you do not.
Like, what kind of crazy love is this?
Chris, I made you a murderer because I love you.
Yes. Well, thank you, John. Thank you. I feel very loved because of that. I'm going to go to jail now.
Yeah. I really think it's interesting, and I'm interested to see whenever she ends up talking to Roy. I mean, Roy has a very similar situation. Yeah. And I really think that could help out and build their relationship a little bit more. And I would like to see that.
In that he was manipulated to do something he didn't want to see.
Yeah, and manipulated to kill people. Yeah. Whenever he was under the Marakuru.
Yeah. So I agree. I would like to see Roy's character kind of develop with Laurel, not Laurel, with Thea a little bit more. Like, that's the thing, like, he was introduced as someone connected to Thea, and then we kind of lost that connection last season. Yeah. And it's cool to kind of see that relationship grow back again. However, I didn't like how they started doing that, where he just agrees with Thea all the time.
Yeah, like, let's try to get away from that, where it's just he's just in it to be a yes man for Thea.
Or like yes man for anybody. I feel like he's Oliver's yes man. He's Thea's yes man. Yeah. Like, whoever he's like, yeah, I'm going to follow them. Like
whoever he's closest to at the moment, he's their yes man. Exactly. Yeah. I do love his character, though, man. It's just, he's got a lot of meat on the bones as far as like a development goes, like he being on the streets and that sort of thing. Yeah. So we didn't see him at all this episode, like at all.
No, and I'm okay. We didn't need to see him.
No, we didn't need to see him at all.
Like and like I said, like in the flashbacks, when it's him going back to Starling City, it feels real super hokey if he sees everybody. Person. Yeah,
that would be really funny. Yeah. I mean. And I'm glad he saw Felicity, but yeah, you're right. It would have been a little bit much if we'd seen Roy.
And I don't think Oliver didn't even see Laurel. We just kind of we saw her in the flashbacks.
Right. And because it was that through line, that parallel. Is that pretty much everything from the episode?
I think that's it. Let's talk about the previews for next episode.
I didn't see the previews for next episode.
All right, if you don't want to be spoiled for next episode,
I'm going to watch them right now.
No, don't watch them right now.
Okay.
All right, so well, the previews included Ray Palmer in his completed Atom suit.
Boom!
Yeah, so that's pretty insane. And it looks like we're getting closer to a confrontation with Roz.
So we're seeing assassins in the city, basically.
Maybe
not. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see this showdown happen. I was curious if we would see him in the suit. And then when we finally saw the promo thing, I was like, yeah, okay, we'll finally see him in the suit. What role is he going to play, though?
I don't know.
And how is this going to affect the Team Arrow? Because that's the only thing that really matters.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know, and because he hasn't been in the last, 3 or 4 episodes, I don't know that right now I don't care.
Right.
I don't care about Ray Palmer, and I don't know if they've made a good case for him because they've never shown his motivations.
He is a character very similar to... I can't remember her name from last season. Oh my gosh.
The person Summer Glau played?
Yes. What was the character's name?
I don't remember. I mean...
Rochev.
Yeah.
Isabel Rochev.
I don't think he's...
He's similar to her in this way. Let me make this comparison.
Okay.
In that, at this point, we haven't seen... Like, at this point in the season, we haven't seen a real reason to care about that person a bunch. Like, I mean, we were wondering, wonder what she's up to. And that's about the extent of where I'm at now, where it's like, what's he been doing the last 3 episodes? But other than that, I don't really see him moving into the plot in a super big way.
Yeah, like, well, this is the other thing, too. His story has been so ancillary to the main plots of these stories.
Right.
That why all of a sudden is he getting entwined in it, other than he has this misguided notion that he wants to be the city's savior, and maybe he just inserts himself into the problem, and inserts himself into this battle somehow.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the whole, like, relationship with him and Felicity, and, like, that's going to affect Team Arrow. Somehow, that is going to conflict with whatever Team Arrow is doing.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be interesting to see and figure out how that's going to play out. I really hope that it isn't super overdone or super focused on.
Yeah.
But if it's just there and it works into the plot in a smooth way,
yeah,
I'm good with it.
I also hope that they don't pull in Isabel Rochev, and that now we know that whenever you don't know a character's motivations, they're always going to turn out bad.
To be a bad guy.
Yeah, like
that's true.
That's a cheat, and I don't
that's
like
really
that,
true.
I don't like, it's like you're trying to trick us, but you're not really tricking us,
right?
Because we kind of see this coming.
Yeah.
And
you have a tell.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that to be their tell, because I don't want that to be the case necessarily with Ray. I just want a more developed character that we can trust, at least his motivations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and if we have, I guess, a guy running around in a super suit in the city, I mean, I don't know that Oliver would be okay with that.
No, definitely not. No.
I don't see him being like, yeah, this guy's cool.
No, not at all.
He hasn't been okay with basically every single team member or every single good guy. Oliver has had a problem with it for at least one episode.
And does Ray Palmer see the Arrow as someone who is helping the city? If he doesn't, he will see him as a threat, and he'll want to take him out.
That's true. And again, we just don't know his motivations. They may both have the best intentions, but we see how intentions go with Malcolm.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, that's it for this week. Okay, so how many hoods do we give this?
Oh man, I give this 5 hoods.
5 hoods.
5 out of 5.
Woo! That's a lot of hoods. I feel like there should be like a big applause and like confetti should rain down.
Yeah.
I should get on that, installing the confetti.
Yes.
For the room.
Please do that. I want that next week.
That would be so bad.
Small little arrow confetti.
They're shaped like arrows. Yes. Yes. I'm gonna give it 4.5 hoods.
All right.
So yeah.
Cool. Do you have a short number of quotes?
Yes, I have a short number of quotes. I only got the best this time.
All right.
Only the best. All right. So we have Oliver and Thea having a conversation at the very beginning of the episode. Really good. He says, "Did you learn all this in 8 months?" And she says, "Malcolm's a good teacher." And then she does something, and he says, "Did he teach you to cheat?" And she says, "He said there's no such thing as cheating, only life and death." And Oliver goes, "He's not wrong." And I just liked how that played in comparison to the rest of the arc of the episode. Mm-hmm. Whenever they ended up not killing Slade, someone who arguably deserves.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To potentially not be around anymore.
He failed the island.
Yeah. And then we have Slade, and this was a horrifying line, and I love it. It's a replay of a line, but he says, "You think I won't get out of here? You think I won't kill those you care for? Well, I keep my promises, kid. I keep my promises!"
Yes. And that was from last season.
That was from last season, yeah. That was whenever he was... I loved how that played like a thriller there, where it just echoes in his mind as he realizes he's not in here.
Yeah. Before he even was revealed as not being in there.
Yeah. And then in the flashbacks, we have Oliver, who whenever Maceo tells him, he's like, "What? Anybody could have recognized you." And he says, "Yeah, I pulled my hoodie down over to cover my face." And he says, Yeah, that wouldn't even work even if you had smeared grease paint all over your face.
Yep. Yeah, that was amazing.
That was a good little reference.
Yes.
Gives Oliver the idea. See.
Yeah, for the grease paint.
For the grease paint. At least we know what it's made of now.
Grease. Even harder to get off your face.
How does that get off of your face? Oh, man. Well, I guess anybody with a super soaker would be able to find out your identity if it was water soluble.
That's true. So. Well, no, grease is not water soluble.
No, I'm saying I'm saying if it was a water-based paint.
I was thinking like makeup. You just need makeup remover or something.
That's true. Spray that with a water gun on his face and you'd know his identity back in the day.
No. It's harder to take off makeup than that.
Oh, man. All right. And then we have Slade, who says, how many people can Oliver Queen lose before there's no more Oliver Queen? Mm-hmm. That was a good one. And the last one, we have Thea, who says to Malcolm, she says, I will work with you to stop Roz because that's what my brother says we need to do. So I'll be your student. I will be your partner. Even if I have to, I will be your soldier. But never again will I be your daughter. Mm. And they did, in fact, reference that the only secret really that's left on the show is to tell Laurel that it was Thea who killed Sarah. Apparently, that hasn't been dealt with. We had proposed after that episode that it was pretty ambiguous whether or not they had told her. Mm-hmm. But now we know they didn't tell her that it was Thea.
Do they need to tell her?
I don't know that they do, but that is the one secret left on the show. And so what I hope doesn't happen is they make a big deal about that particular secret.
Yeah.
Whenever
for the next year.
Yeah, for the next year. Like, whenever they could just really easily take care of this and be like, Malcolm's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it only makes sense. Was Laurel around at the time whenever Roy was dealing with some of this? I don't think she was.
No,
was she?
And this is the thing.
So she's never encountered this type of situation.
I was kind of foggy on Oliver's reasoning behind telling Thea not to tell Laurel because he said, because you're so close. Like, we never saw them super close.
I don't know that they're really that close.
But that's what he said.
I just think he's trying to protect Laurel.
No, I agree
just like he does with everybody.
I agree with that. And I don't know that that's right now is a perfect time to deal with that in her life. Like, he's all about, if it doesn't need to be said, don't say it.
Right.
But it's not always the best option.
Right.
Then again, I don't think with the stuff that she's dealing with now with her father that telling her now would help.
No, I don't think it would help. But I think that whenever we end up facing down with Roz, knowing that
it provides additional motivation.
Right.
Although would she blame Roz? I don't think so.
No.
She would blame Merlin.
What I'm saying is Roz is going to have ammunition against Team Arrow. Because if he really knows or if he finds out, then I really think he'll have additional ammo to destabilize their unit. I mean, that would be really frustrating.
I think that Malcolm, I almost think that Roz knows who actually killed her, because otherwise, why would Malcolm be so intent that they are trying to kill both of them?
I don't know.
And why would that assassin try to kill her last week?
Other than to try to kill all of the line, like the family.
Yeah, I guess. That just seems weird, but
yeah.
I think this is whenever I think they could let her know. You defeat Roz, and then you have to deal with Malcolm in some way.
Yeah.
And at that point, you tell Laurel, Malcolm is the one who made Thea kill Sarah. Yep. And just let her go. Then
there's motivation for her to help you take out Malcolm.
Right.
I like it.
Well, that's it for this week. You can find our main podcast and our Flash on Target podcast online at stayontargetpodcast.com. You can find us on Twitter at ChrisWright250
and JohnWright777
and at StayOnTargetPod. On our main podcast this week, we're talking about lots of things. Some movie news, some games news, some TV news.
A pick of the week.
Lots of stuff.
The snowpocalypse in Nashville of 2015.
Well, basically, almost the entire Midwest to East Coast.
This is true.
Yes. You can find us there. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on Arrow on Target.